Hello, y'all. It's Aryan. I'm just gonna talk about Roth is and how to invest into it, why you should, and how it is beneficial for you. So the maximum you can invest in your Roth this year is $7,000. That's the maximum you can do. And to invest into a Roth, you have to have an income that year. For example, 2024, the income of that year, if you want to invest 7,000 in the very beginning, has to be above 7,000. So if I make 3,000 this year, I can only contribute up to 3K. Sounds pretty simple, but for example, let's say last year you made 14K, and this year you're not working at all because of, I don't know, whatever circumstance you may have. You can't invest this year because you are making zero income this year, even though you still have money on the side that you want to put into your Roth IRA. Okay, now that that's out of the way, not too important, why should you invest into your Roth IRA? Investing into the Roth IRA is like investing to stocks, but the biggest benefit in the end is you pay no taxes, like I said before. If you just look into an initial investment of $7,000, time and length of 30 years, an estimated interest rate of 8%. Now, this 8% isn't too crazy. Some people might say it's high, some people might say it's low, whatever. I'm getting this where I'm getting this 8% from, right? I'm getting this 8% from the average S&P 500 return over the last 30 years, which has been around 12%. And just look it up. S&P return last 30 years. Okay. Okay, sorry. Last 10 years. It's been good. Sorry. So it's around 12.39%. And then inflation has been around 2.6. I'm saying 4, so I may do 12 minus 4, making it around 8%. I think 8% is a pretty good number. So, like, as you see, 20 years, 9 and 7.2%. It goes up and down. But I think even if it's 7%, let's say, okay, let's say this is 7%. $7,000 is gonna be $53,000, accounting for inflation, by the way, in 30 years. So every single dollar you're spending right now on dumb stuff is $7.60. So if you're spending $20 on a drink, cough cough, some people I know, millennials, that's $152 in future money. That's after inflation that you're not saving for right now. Obviously, live your life, whatever, but also put aside money for your future. And think about, if you have children, do you want them to take care of you? Like, you're putting that pressure on them all the way. Like, doesn't make sense. And obviously, it's never too late to start, but the earlier you start, the better. As you can see, 30 years. Well, I'm young, right? I am 21. Let's say I can take this out when I'm pretty much 60. Let's say I'll take it out a little later. Let's say 40 years. That's 200. These $20, $299. Take into account $7,000, $100,000 in 40 years. Take into account 7%, kind of low. Let's say 12%. Let's say blah. It's been really good. $650,000. This is before inflation, most likely, but obviously these numbers can vary depending on what you do and how much you invest. Now, if you only invest $7,000 and nothing else, you'll most likely in 30 years end around with $70,000. Okay? But now, what if you did this exact same thing, but it kept investing monthly $500 with 7%? It's $620,000 in the future. Now, let's see with a nicer 10%, 1.1 million. Let's put in 35 instead of 30, almost $2 million. Now, obviously, this is a great investing tool, but many people of my generation just don't understand it. And when I say don't understand it, they just don't know the importance of it, slash, don't care too much right now. Let's just go over what I'm invested in, what I would suggest you invest in, and how you should invest it. So to even open a Roth IRA, you have to first open a brokerage account. I personally use Fidelity. I would recommend Fidelity. I have invested the last year's maximum, which was 6,500, and invested this year's 7,000. Obviously, I haven't made 7,000 yet, but I can still invest it because I know I will make that much, and I know I don't need that money in the shorter term or in any term for that instance. But whatever money you can invest is good, and you should. So even if you just want, I would just put it in a brokerage account, even if you don't need it for the next year or two. Because right now, my cash is making 5%, almost 5%. That's with me doing nothing at all. It's just leaving it in there in a money market fund, which is automatically put in. This is just cash. You can take this out whenever you want. And people don't even take advantage of this, which I find not the best. But obviously, this is to inform you. So this is what I'm invested in. I'm not investing. This is just a Bitcoin fund. You shouldn't do this, probably, but it's just something really small, $52 out of the whole grand scheme of things. It's not much of my account, less than 1%. But I believe in Bitcoin, so I thought I should do that. Um, this Fidelity Zero International Index is pretty much just an international fund. It's a very small amount because I'm really young. It's 11%, but just to account for any kind of drop in the US market. This one's the Fidelity Total Market Fund. You could either use this one, FC Rock, or I would suggest probably using something like Vanguard's Total Stock Market, VTI. There's also VOO, which is just the top 500 companies, but VTI is every single stock in the United States. That's available, obviously. And then I'm invested in QQQ quite a bit because I believe in our tech sector, especially Nvidia, Amazon, Microsoft. That's what QQQ is. And then in SCHD, I wouldn't invest into this, honestly. Most likely will sell this in the future, but it gives me dividends, and I was informing myself about dividends at that time, and I kind of, sort of need to inform myself more on this. And then obviously, I'm invested in VOO, just giving me more into the top 500 companies, being a little bit more aggressive than this one or VTI, but that's how I'm doing it right now. And overall, it's treated me pretty well so far. Obviously, we can't account for the future. And I would suggest you dollar cost average, which is pretty much just if you're investing 500 or let's say $100 per month, invest that $100 every single month into VOO. So if it goes down, you're still just investing $100. If it's going up a lot, you're still just investing $100. So it just averages it out, and you don't lose too much. Slash, don't. It keeps your risk tolerance pretty even. Instead of just investing it all, like for example, right now the market's really high, you invest 7,000 right now. Tomorrow or like in a month, it could go down 20%, and you're pretty much screwed. But if you invested over time, $500 per month over the next year, you'll more likely be set out to be well and overall come out quote unquote on top. Obviously, you're not trying to time the market though. That's why you're doing dollar cost averaging. Okay, other than this, let's see what other point I had. Learn what you're investing in, obviously. This one's top 500 companies. This one's international. International mostly takes into account like Japanese companies, Taiwanese companies, Korean companies like Toyota, Hyundai, those kind of companies. I really looked into that. Um, this is just a dividend one. This is just Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and certain other companies that give really high dividends, and it just reinvests it. Not, it doesn't actually reinvest into itself. It gives me cash, but I mean, it is what it is. And then QQ, really kind of risky, obviously, because of tech and whatever. It can go high, really high easily, but also really low highly. And then this is just my age range, so I like being a little bit more, how can I say it, more risk averse. Obviously, the older you are, the less risk you want to have, and the more into like, for example, bonds you might want to be. But that's another story. Um, But for people my age, I hope you yourself take into account your financial future. Take into account you most likely won't get Social Security. I'm just going to say that. And even if we do, don't rely on it. It's probably not going to be too much. Please invest into yourself, into your future, especially, and just watch videos. Just watch any. I just watch random financial videos. I think it's very useful. It might not be the most entertaining thing, but it's definitely useful. And if you just have cash lying around and you're most likely not going to use it for like the next, even if you're going to use it in like the next month, might as well just have it in cash in a money market fund making 5%. Like, come on, what are you doing? Use its tools around you. Don't leave it in a savings account making 0.25% per year when you can have it making 5%. Right now, if you have $7,000 making you 5%, that's like, well, I'm going to have to do quick math here. Uh, Calculator, 7,000 times 0.05. That's $350 per year. That's just free money right now. Obviously, it's going to go lower because right now they're going to cut down the interest rates, but that's another story. Just use it. It doesn't hurt, and I would definitely suggest you use your Roth IRA, and I hope this makes someone do that. Thank you.